The NFL is a sport that is loved by many people. It attracts a bunch of fans and it is the most watched sport in America. But then on the other hand, you have college football, a sport which may not be as popular as the NFL, but it has its own incredible moments. Both forces are strong, but which one is better? Well, in this video, we will look at both of those sports and see what they bring to the table. Then at the end, I will come up with a conclusion which will show which sport is the better one. How is everybody doing today? It's Sports Huddle back with another video, and today I'm going to talk about the NFL and college football and which one is better. Let's not waste any time and let's get straight into it. Now, the first thing we need to look at is the fans. Now, in the NFL, there are a lot of fans, and they are pretty popular. There are teams like the Dallas Cowboys, who even though they aren't the greatest team, they still have lots and lots of fans. So the NFL may only have 32 teams, but their fans are more popular. But then on the other hand, you have college. College football has more fans because there are more colleges than NFL teams. But here's the big difference. In 2017, the FBS, which is the largest division in college football, had over 34 million people attending games, while the NFL had 17 million. But then again, the NFL racks up more views in the Super Bowl. So here's what I think. College football has more fans than the NFL, but the NFL's fans are more popular than college football fans. For example, if you go on Instagram right now and look up the Dallas Cowboys, they have 3.5 million followers. Even though they didn't even perform well last year, their fan base is huge. And then if you look up Alabama's team on Instagram, which let me remind you, these guys won the FBS in 2020, they have 1 million followers. I believe that popularity is better than the amount of fans you have, so I'm giving the NFL a point here for their fans. Even though they don't have as much as college does, they still have more popular ones. Next thing we need to talk about is the rules. Now, college football and the NFL don't have the same rules. You see, in college, you only need to keep 1 foot in bounds in order to call it a catch. But in football, you need both feet to stay in. I feel like it's better to have 1 foot than 2, because in football, you have a lot of jumping, twisting, and turning, especially as a wide receiver. And if you were to make an incredible catch, but oh no, 1 foot is out of bounds, then you're screwed. So I like how in college, they make it easier for you. And if the NFL did the same thing, the games would be more entertaining, because they would be more high scoring. And I'm sure almost all football fans love a good high scoring game. So college football ties it up at 1. Next up on the list is the fact that college football does something a bit more different in overtime, comparing it to the NFL. In the NFL, in order to get the ball in overtime, you have to do a coin toss, and if you win it, you start with the ball. And there are many instances where a team gets the ball, scores, and wins the game, not even allowing the other team to have a chance at scoring. And if both teams don't score and overtime ends, they call it a tie. But in college, it's different. They will allow each team to have a possession where they will start from the opponent's 25-yard line. So they will get a chance at redemption. And here's the thing. There are no ties in college football. And what makes stuff even more interesting is that if they are in the third overtime, they must go for a 2-point conversion after a touchdown. So no more extra points in OT number 3. I really like this rule, because in the NFL, you don't know if you'll get a chance to score if the other team has 10 minutes to do so. I think college did a better job here than the NFL, so they take a 2-1 lead. Next up on the list is something that isn't in the big picture, whether it makes either sport better than the other, but it still needs to be talked about. And that is a player's attitude off the field. You see, in college, majority of the players normally don't do anything crazy off the field that's worth a suspension. But in the NFL, there's a higher percentage of players getting suspended for off-field drama. Recently, there was a video of Richard Sherman breaking into a house where his family lived in. And I mean, nobody who's a diehard Richard Sherman fan wants to see this. But in college, since these guys are in their late teens or early 20s, they aren't as bad as a guy who's in their 30s. So I feel like when it comes to having a favorite player or even a role model, there's a better chance a college football player is more mature than an NFL player. That's just in my opinion. College is now up 3-1. Now, this next part is where it's a no-brainer. If you had to compare college players to NFL players, NFL wins by a mile. I mean, you gotta realize at the end of the day, NFL players are professional athletes while college players are still going to school. So that's why people should never, ever compare a star in the NFL to a star in college, let alone compare an NFL player to a college player. One guy is older and is playing in a league that is way more aggressive with bigger guys, while the other is playing guys still in their teenage years or in their early 20s. So the NFL gets a point here because, well, there isn't much explaining to do. I mean, you should know that an all-star QB in the NFL is better than one in college. So in conclusion, after diving around certain topics in the NFL and college, after some research and some fact-checking, the better sport is college football. Or, if you don't want to count players' attitude, it's a tie. Now, I personally prefer the NFL, but after I did some research and fact-checking, it turns out maybe college football is a bit better. Now, I have given some facts and opinions, but now it's time for you guys to let me know down in the comments. What do you prefer, college football or the NFL? That'll be it for today's video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you're new to the channel, consider leaving a like and subscribing. I would really appreciate that. And as always, I will see you all in the next video. I'm out.